Byrd, and this is a gentle recuperative yoga class. The style of this class is designed to help those who are recovering from issues or injuries that might make a regular yoga class difficult. In this class, we'll be using adaptations to help keep us comfortable while at the same time allowing us to progress with increases in flexibility and strength. If during the class you begin to feel increasing discomfort, that's a sign that you need to adapt a little bit more, perhaps change your actions or modify, or maybe stop completely. As we go through, I think you'll find there'll be plenty that you can do and plenty of actions that will help you get stronger. During this class, we'll be using various props, but simple, easy for you to find around the home. For example, the chair. If you have a bolster or a couch cushion, that could work for sitting, or you can sit in a chair. And don't worry, if you don't want to get down on the floor, there's great adaptations for doing some actions from a seated position. Although I will be inviting you to stand as well as sit, and for those who can, we'll be doing some reclined positions as well. For our first position, we're going to be standing. Allow yourself to stand with your feet about hip distance wide, and let your knees become a little softer. Let your weight travel toward your toes, letting your heels lift up comfortably. You'll lose your balance slightly and bend your knees a little more. Then come back toward your heels, lifting the front of the foot. You'll find you'll lose your balance more. You may have to take a step backward in order to recover. Just move the amount that you're comfortable with. Toward the toes, lose your balance a little bit. Toward the heels, lose your balance a little bit. But each time you're losing your balance, let your knees bend just slightly more. This is going to teach us to recover in a way that lowers our center of gravity. If we lock our knees, we're likely to have more of an event in recovering our balance, especially when we're on a walk. Put one foot forward like you're on a walk. Keep your knees soft and take the weight toward the toes. Lift your heels and try and crouch. Go back onto your heels. Lift the front of your foot. Let yourself crouch. You may find it's very difficult to bend the knees. Your body might want to lock you. But if we're going forward at a pace, walking, and we lock our knees, we may throw ourselves, our head, violently forward and end up falling down. If we crouch, we stop our momentum. We sink down. We may have an easier time recovering. Let's put the other foot in the forward position. Remembering, if the action is creating increasing discomfort, modify, adapt, or avoid. Good. We'll get used to this because we're going to practice not a whole bunch right now, but day after day. Just a few seconds even at a time will be enough to increase your body's abilities to recover. Good. All right. Now, in order to enhance our balance even more, we're going to be working with the arches of our feet. So as we're standing, look down and see what your arch looks like. For many people, the inner arch is collapsed, the ankles swaying inward. Let's just go ahead and let them go inward comfortably, and then take the weight all the way to the outer edges of the feet, lifting up the inner edge a comfortable amount. And we'll go back and forth, inward and outward, feeling the action. We'll keep it comfortable, but we're basically sliding the bone structures of our ankles around. They're stacked atop each other, much like books. And when we stand in an inappropriate arch, we tend to sway so that our ligament structure that holds these bones together becomes elongated. We're going to replace the tension of that ligament with muscle action. And we start by balancing the weight across the ball of the foot. That's the area right behind the toes. So from big to little toe area, create a balance across that evenly. And then push your heels out away from each other and let that relax. Look down. When you begin to balance across the ball of the foot and push your heels away from each other, you're going to see your arches uplift. That means that the center of your ankle and the center of your foot line up. When you relax, the arch would fall. But do it again. Push outward. And this time, lift all your toes up. Go ahead, let's work our hands too. Let's pull our fingers back away from the palm. So we're trying to make it so that the fingers lift more than the palm lifts as we lift our toes away from the floor. Now let your toes squeeze down, wrinkle them downward, and take your fingers and touch them so that the top of the finger is joining to the area where the finger joins to the palm. It's an unusual way to bend, and we'll make it tight, but we won't make it uncomfortable. Again, pulling backward, squeezing downward. These actions are a cross training. They're unusual. They're not something we would typically do during our day, And they're going to train our muscles and our joints. Now let's try this. Let's spread apart, fingers and toes going wide and then narrow. Now when you first try and do this, your toes especially might not obey. They might lift up only. They may not know how to spread at all. Keep working with it. We're not going to necessarily be good at something we begin. It's only through practice that we get better. Now keep the heels pressing outward and work to move your big toes towards each other. Now that might be hardly any movement at first. It's a very small muscle in each foot. Keep working with it and then push that big toe down, heels pressing outward. Start to lift your small toes up and down. Again, it might be quite some time before we get complete action, but as we keep working, we'll notice more and more. The small toes now stay down, and only the big toe is going up and down. And now try this, our extra credit. Push down on the big toe, push down on the little toe, work to lift and lower the 3 center toes. You might have to do 1 foot at a time, and maybe at first nothing's happening, but that's not that unusual. Keep working with it, and you'll gain greater success building up the muscles of the feet to build up your arch. Good job. Now let's remain standing with this arch. With the arch of the foot set, let's begin to work. We have our hips back. We want a good posture. We're going to lift our chest up. We're going to let our shoulders come a little bit back and a little bit down. We're going to lift the top of our head up. And we're going to start to roll our shoulders forward and up. And roll our shoulders back and down. Gradually increasing the movement a comfortable amount. We're going to feel some stretches somewhere in the neck, the upper, even into the lower back. In between the shoulder blades, throughout the shoulders. We'll roll one way, and now we'll roll the other way, back and up, forward and down. If it's too difficult to move both arms at the same time, try one arm at a time. Good. Now, on your next inhale, let your arms come slowly forward. Inhaling as you lift. Lift only as high as you want. And then exhale, spreading your arms out and coming back down. The more we lift the arms, the more we're going to feel the action, not just in the shoulders, but the neck, the upper, and even the lower back. Exhale as you come down. The more we reach, the more stretch we'll feel. So reaching comfortably, stretching, and breathing. Good. But now let's take our hands on a different path. Let's go to one side, breathing in, and we'll exhale, crossing over and to the other side, going down. We'll do that again, letting your arms lift as high as you want, but keeping them comfortable. Don't lift any higher than feels like a comfortable stretch. Well, let's go the other way. Inhale and lift. We can feel the movement, not just in the shoulders, but things happening in our back too. Exhale, coming down. And once again, breathing in and breathing out. Good. Now let's take the arms up. We're going to lift the chest up through the center. We're going to lift the side of our chest, and we're going to reach the arm comfortably high. Inhale, stretch, and exhale, let it go. Lift up the center. Lift up the side of the chest. Stretch the arm, and inhale. Exhale, we'll let it go. Again, center lift, side lift, reach the arm. We almost never stretch fully. Inhale, exhale, let it go. Lift the center, the side, stretch the arm, inhale, and then exhale. Take the arms all the way down. Take your hands and interlock your fingers. Stretch out your palms. Let your arms and your chest come up. And as you lift, begin to twist slowly in a spiral from the legs all the way through the arms. Inhale, stretch gently. Exhale, come out of the spiral. We're going to upward lift and begin to spiral up. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, come out of the spiral. And we're going to upward lift and lift the chest. And a very gentle arch, but no jamming allowed. Inhale, and then exhale. Let the arms come down. And let them just swing. Now lift your chest and begin to turn your shoulders. Begin to swing your arms back and forth. You're going to feel some loosening. The arms are going to just Fly outward and feel things in your back and your shoulders, breathing deeply. Now let's isolate that movement. Let's lift the chest, and without moving the hips, we're going to turn our shoulders a little bit, breathing deeply. Keep the chest uplifted and see if you can turn the shoulders without moving your hips. It might be difficult to do. The hips might automatically turn. But see if you can keep the hips still and turn the shoulders. Now let's try uplift and see if we can turn the hips, but not the shoulders. Back and forth. Good. Okay. And let that relax. Now let's let the arms come down. Let them swing back and forth. Breathing deeply. Comfortable stretch. Lift up the chest and squeeze your shoulders back. Maybe you can link your arms together, or maybe you'll just let the arms be free. Squeeze back, and then let the shoulders go as far forward as you're comfortable with. Deep inhale. Exhale. Squeeze, maybe reach back, and then shoulders go forward. Inhale, or let the arms go forward too. Once more, squeeze back, exhale, and then relax. Press your feet and your knees outward like you're trying to stretch your mat apart. Pull in your core. Lift up the chest and lower your shoulders down. We're going to tilt to the side, but keep our pelvis in center. Those legs stay active, so we tilt. We don't have to go very far. If we're comfortable, we'll lift the chest and even the arms, stretching up and inhaling. Exhale, let's bring ourselves out. Now press out the feet again. Belly in, chest up and shoulders down. Tilt the other way, but keep the pelvis in the center. Lift the chest and the shoulder and maybe the arms, stretching up, and inhale. And then exhale, we'll lift ourselves up and come out. Now we're going to make a wider stance. Take your feet out wide and let your knees bend, letting your hands come to the end of those bent knees. Moving slowly, we'll just take a shoulder gently across. There will be multiple areas brought into the stretch. We'll come to center and we'll reach across the other way, gently stretching and breathing. Recenter. First side again, reach across. Breathe in deep. Exhale, release. Reach the other way and breathe in deeply. Exhale, let it go. Come on to center. Come up and step the feet again, hip distance wide. Now that our warm-up's finished, we'll do a little work on our posture and on our balance. We're going to stand and work with our posture. And often when we're standing, our posture is just a reflection of the comfort of our body in certain positions, and it could be very offline. So it's just a common way for us to stand. Correct posture lines up structure. So we're going to stand, have the feet about hip distance, and we're going to work to keep the weight off the toes and back toward the center of the foot and heel. And this will help us line up our hip directly over our ankle. We're going to bring our chest upward and work to keep the shoulders back over the line of our hip. We'll lift our head up and work to keep the head back so ear is over shoulder and shoulder is over hip and hip is over ankle. And that's one straight line through the body. And yet it doesn't account for the curve of our low back, our upper back, and our neck. So as we're standing, let's begin inhaling, hands to hips, and make the back curve more, tilting the pelvis, expanding the belly. As we exhale, we tuck under our tailbone and flatten our back just a bit. So these actions we're going to repeat. Inhaling, arching the back more. Exhaling, letting the back go flatter. Only create the actions that are comfortable to you. The inhale, back curve increases. That's back muscles contracting. The exhale, abdominal muscles contracting. That's flattening our back. These muscles balance each other. They work to strengthen and lengthen one another. And if we have imbalance, we might see it reflected in our posture. The front of the pelvis compared to the pubic bone line shows us the alignment of our back and abdominal muscles. If the top of the pelvis is always forward of the pubic bone line, we've increased our back curve. We've got tight back muscles. But if the top of the pelvis is behind the line of the pubic bone, then we've got overly tight abdominal muscles and too flat of a back. What we want is the front of the pelvis and the pubic bone to line up even with one another. Create that and keep it that way. We'll work with our upper back now. Hands still to the hips, reminding us to stay still there. We're going to inhale, lift the chest, and push the chest backward. That's increasing our upper back curvature. Exhale, we relax. We often don't have enough curve there. Inhale again, push the chest backward. You'll feel a nice stretch. Exhale, relax. And again, inhale, push the chest backward. Exhale, relax. Well, that solves one problem, but another problem is when we lengthen our spine, we tend to only lift up the front. We don't equally lift up the back. So let's try that. We lift the back of the chest up, but we'll run into the spine. So let's lift one shoulder blade up at a time, a little higher, a little higher. It's like we're climbing a ladder, higher and higher. We'll begin to feel the stretch here in our front. Keep your chest lifting up. Allow one shoulder blade to work its way down. The chest can still lift. Even the other shoulder blade can work its way down. The chest lifts in between the shoulder blades. Now we're ready to work with our neck. We're going to inhale and lift the head and the face upward. Let's not collapse the neck. Let's just stretch gently. Now when we're ready to exhale, we're going to retract and tuck the chin in. We'll do it again. The chin lifting, inhaling, and then the exhale, retract the chin in. These are unusual actions, and both front and back of the neck tend to be weak. But level chin to the line of the jaw reflects the neutral position of our neck. So let's keep the chin lined up with the bottom of the jaw. I call it chin level to the floor. Let's make sure our chest, back, and front are still lifted, and our shoulders are gently back and gently down. Let's make sure the front of our pelvis is nicely flat, and that we have an even weight over our feet. And this would represent that line of action from ear to shoulder to hip to ankle, one line, but the right amount of curve in low back, upper back, and neck. Now we're going to take this pose of standing posture, our good posture, into a traditional tree pose in yoga. Start by keeping that arch of your foot. Tighten your thighs and your lower abdomen. Hands go to your hips. And then very slowly shift your weight to one foot. Now the natural thing might be for the hip to slide out to the side. Instead, pull that hip underneath you, lifting the other hip a little higher, but keeping the toes of the other foot down for now. We'll line up our nose right over the ankle of our supporting leg. Keep lifting your chest and even stretch your arms and reach upward, breathing deeply. And bring your palms together, letting them come down in front of your chest. Keep your chest lifting up as you lower your shoulders down. That hip is underneath you, nose lined up with the ankle. And here comes tree pose. It's very simple. Just turn your hip outward. That's a wide-based tree. Or for greater challenge, the foot comes closer. Or for even more challenge, the foot comes up the leg. But all of these are tree pose. So choose a position that you can hold and work on turning your hip out and flattening the front of the pelvis, pulling in your belly. Keep your chest up, your shoulders down, your palms pressing, and your chin level. Take one more deep breath in. As we exhale, we step out. Good. But you know, we didn't return to perfect posture. We went into something that we're more comfortable with. So let's find that perfect posture again. Let's have that weight even across our feet. Weight at the heels and hips back, front of the pelvis flattening. We'll lift the back and front of the chest up, but pull the shoulders gently back and gently down. We'll lift the top of the head up and keep the chin level, breathing here in our belly. And there's our good posture again. So let's do tree pose side 2. Tighten those thighs, pull in the core, hands to the hips. Now slowly shift the weight to the other leg. That hip may try and bow out, but we'll pull it underneath us, lifting the opposite side of the pelvis up higher and keeping our toes down for now. Nose right over that ankle. We begin to lift the chest and even the arms, stretching up and breathing deeply. And our hands will come together and come back in front of us. Our chest is up, our shoulders are down, and the hips beneath us. Our nose is over the ankle. And here's our trees pose. We turn the hip out, wide base tree. Or, for challenge, narrower, or even up the leg. Choose the pose you can hold a moment, keeping your hip turned out and your other hip beneath you for support. Chest is up, shoulders are down, palms are pressing, chin is level. Let's take a deep inhale. And then as we exhale, we step out. Good job. Now we're going to come into a seated position. You may want to choose a chair. Sometimes the only way to truly be comfortable sitting down is to lift yourself high up enough that you're in a chair position. And in a chair position, it's often best to have the legs so that both feet will touch the floor. If we cross our leg or cross our ankles even, that causes a little bit of unusual positioning for the pelvis. So feet down and feet and knees about hip distance wide if you're going to be seated in a chair. Allow yourself to sit slightly forward in the chair. The back of the chair typically will lean you backward, creating poor posture. Sitting more forward in the chair will allow you to keep your feet in a more appropriate position and to allow you to lift the chest and come forward versus rounding your back toward the back of the chair in poor posture. So the upward lift is to be done if you're sitting on the bolster or in a chair. Now, once we're seated with good posture, let's begin to roll the shoulders forward and up and back and down. Big swirling circles. You're going to feel in the neck, the upper back, in between the shoulder blades, into the ribs, maybe all the way down into the lower back. Now we're going to roll the other way, back and up, forward and down. Big swirling circles. You may notice some sensations different, one side versus the other. It's very common. Could be an indication of muscular imbalance due to some issue or injury, even from long ago. Now let the arms hang down, and we'll continue the warm-up, but now in the interior by turning the arms in and out. There are little muscles that help to stabilize our shoulder. These are rotator cuff muscles. And it's fairly easy for a rotator cuff muscle to be weaker than it should be and at greater risk of injury. So we're going to warm these muscles up and alert ourselves if there's any particular issue with the muscle. Good. Now we'll bring our hands toward the top of the shoulder. Continuing the warm-up, we bring the elbows forward and try and lift them up. We'll pull them back and down. There might be a lot of noise. And noise is just the sound of an imbalance in the structure. Things are strumming across one another. As long as it's not uncomfortable to make the movement, you're fine. But if you're feeling increasing discomfort, you need to adapt or avoid. Let's make the circle the other way. We'll go back and up and forward and down. Big swirling circles as we breathe deeply. Good. Now these movements are a combination of many of the muscles, and we'll continue with an action of reaching forward. Now we're going to bring the arm comfortably high, and we'll pull the arm back and down. And it's going to resemble, in certain ways, a swim stroke, like a backstroke. Again, forward and up, and back and down. Whatever the movement that you create, it's perfectly fine to limit it so that you're not increasing your discomfort. Good. Now let's try the other side. So we create the action, and it may be very different, one side versus the other. Notice what you feel and where you feel it. And create the limitations of action that are appropriate. Keep breathing deeply. Good. Let's return to the first side. And now we're going to go back first and up, forward, and down. It can be more difficult creating certain movements. Muscles have partnership with each other, and they really care who's first, second, third, fourth in an action. Let's try the other side. So we go back and up. This is like a forward crawl movement in swimming. It's creating a cooperation of all muscles together in the movement. Good. All right. Now let's do another movement pattern. We're going to take one hand, palm up. We're going to pull it back toward our hip, and then we're going to push it palm outward across our body. We'll do it again. We'll pull back toward our hip and push palm out across. Back and forth. The arm will be straight and the arm will be bent, working different muscles. The shoulder will be back, the shoulder will be forward. The palm will be out, the palm will be up. Quite a few areas are brought into this action. Let's try the other side. So we take the hand from the hip, we push across our body, pulling palm up back to the hip. It's important to cross over the midline. That action uses certain muscles, but it also activates the balance center of our brain. So we want to get a combined effort of action. Here again, it could be different, one side versus the other. So create the limitations in the action that's appropriate. But now let's add in. As we pull this hand back, let's see if we can push the other hand across the body. We'll turn both palms and push and pull. Now each arm is doing something completely different from the other arm. One elbow straightens as the other one bends. One arm goes across as the other one pulls back to its own side. This action truly enhances balance and coordination, and it's one of the actions that's routinely found in many different martial arts positions. Good. Well done. Now let's loosen our neck a little bit. Keep the top of the head up and very gently tuck your chin. Let the weight of the head come forward. You'll feel a stretch in the back of the neck, or perhaps into the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades, maybe down the back toward the pelvis. Very gently turn your head to one side, breathing deeply. Very gently turn your head to the other side. Go back and forth a comfortable number of times. Good. Coming to center, begin to lift the head. Now imagine the part of the head that's facing the ceiling is being pulled upward. First, it's the top of the head. But as we begin to lift our face up, it's the face that's pulling upward, so there's no collapse. We're breathing deeply, experiencing a mild stretch. And we're going to turn our head gently from side to side. Modify, adapt your actions to what's comfortable to you. It's a very unusual position to look upward. Good. We'll come to center and bring the chin down. Keep the top of the head lifting up, but turn your head slowly to one side. Let your eyes lead you to that side and see how much of your shoulder and behind you can see. And then lifting the head, we'll slowly turn the other way. Deeply breathing. Head lifting, first side again. Lifting the head, second side again. And coming to center. Keep lifting the head up and see how much you can tilt your ear toward the shoulder. You're going to feel a relatively strong stretch. Head goes up, we tilt the other way. Some movements we make more than others, and this is a movement that we seldom make much at all. But if we continue all of these actions, these simple head movements, we will feel a gentle increase in our neck range of motion. Good. For those who wish to remain in the chair and not come to a sideline position on the floor, it's a good idea to have a block or perhaps a small pillow available to you. We'll be using that later on. Our first action, coming slightly forward of the chair so the legs are not impeded by the chair itself. Now we'll begin. The knee is right over the ankle, but we'll take the leg, moving it out to the side, keeping the knee and the ankle lined up one over the other. We want to avoid having the foot move out further than the knee. So let the knee and the ankle move together, out and in. We'll continue this action with that leg over and over again. If you prefer to do less repetition, you can stop whenever you want.
Work to move as slowly and smoothly as you can. When you're ready, you'll switch to the opposite side. Once again, making sure that you're moving the knee and the ankle the same amount. You may find that one leg moves differently than the other, and you may feel gentle fatigue developing in your outer hip. Work the leg in the way that seems the best. Breathe deeply, and when you're ready, place your hands in the back of the chair. Brace yourself and bring your knee toward your chest. When your foot comes down, press and tighten your seat muscle. You may or may not be able to lift your leg up very high. Not only will you press your heel down, but you'll deliberately tighten your seat muscle. This works the front and the back of your hip. Breathe deeply. Don't worry about how high your leg is lifting. Create a comfortable number of repetitions. You will likely feel this fatigue in the front of your hip. When you're ready, relax, and once again, bracing. Now you'll work the opposite leg. Bring the knee up, press the heel down, and tighten the seat muscle. One side may work differently than the other side. You may fatigue more quickly one side versus the other. You're welcome to create the number of repetitions each side needs. When you're ready, you'll now take your feet and your knees and move them closely together, knee and feet touching. Bracing, you'll take one leg off to the side and join it with the other. Back to center and to the other side. This rotates both your hips, but in opposite directions. The legs step out a comfortable amount and then back in. You may feel that you can go further to one side than the other. Now, feet and knees close. One leg will move as the other stays still, knee moving away from the opposite knee. This clamshell-like action will move the hip, and you may feel weight coming to the outer edge of your foot. When you've completed a comfortable number on one side, switch, and now the opposite knee moves while the first leg remains still. You may have different abilities, one leg compared to the other. Just move comfortably the amount that seems right. Now, for the next action, you will want to use a block or a pillow between the knees to keep the knees about hip distance wide. Brace your body, and on one side, rotate your hip so your foot moves off to the side. This inward rotation may make your hip feel tighter, and your foot may not move very far out to the side. Create a comfortable number of repetitions. When you're ready, you switch to the opposite side, and one leg may move further than the other. In your next action, you will take one leg and you will be positioning it so the foot moves behind the other foot. This outward turning hip may not move very far, and you may feel fatigue. When you're ready, you'll switch to the opposite side. Try and let the foot go behind the other leg so the hip turns out. Now, keeping the block or pillow between the knees, squeeze the knees into the block or pillow. You'll feel your inner thighs contracting as you do. Let both legs work at the same time, squeezing the block firmly. This action helps to decompress the back of the pelvis. Do a comfortable number of repetitions, focusing on the action of the inner thigh. When you're ready, you can relax and remove the block. Now, position yourself so you're a little more forward in the chair. Separate your knees and feet wide and slowly tilt your legs toward one side and then the other. You'll roll to the edges of the feet and your pelvis will twist slightly forward, one side and then the other side. This knee rock will help to release tension from your lower back. Create a comfortable number of actions. When you are ready, you'll change the leg position. Bring the feet and knees closer together. Now as you tilt side to side, there's a little more action in the structure of the pelvis. If this is uncomfortable in any way, or you prefer the first action, separate the feet and knees out widely again. Move only the amount that's comfortable and only for the duration that you find to be comfortable. Now, stretch your legs out straight. Begin to move one leg so it's slightly longer than the other, shimmying your pelvis back and forth. Move only the amount that's comfortable. You may not want to move very far. This movement is creating action in the very back of your pelvis, the sacroiliac joint. Once you've moved a comfortable number of times, arch your back as you inhale and round and flatten your back slightly as you exhale. Move only the amount that's comfortable to you. Breathe deeply into the belly, exhaling as your back flattens. When you've created a comfortable number of repetitions, you will relax and reposition so that you're seated more comfortably on the chair. Adjust your shoulders away from your head and turn your arms so the inside of the palms and the elbows face the ceiling. Circle your neck gently in one direction and then the opposite way, breathing deeply. Hold the chin level. Start taking deep inhales into the belly, the sides, the lower and upper back, exhaling slowly. Continue to inhale deeply and exhale slowly, over and over again. Feel your feet, your legs, your shoulders, your head. Let your body be in one moment as you relax and breathe deeply.